Test, test. All right. Lee, I'll be heard. I tried to fix this. I no longer live in a place with internet, so I have to be here. Um, I'd like to talk about anger and why I'm extremely angry. From the very beginning of my life, I've been dealing with injustice. My father left my mother when he found out that she was pregnant with me. I was given false information fed to me through the form of religion and school, and I was excellent at both of those. Um, Come to find out that that which I learned in school is not applicable to real life, and even the belief system is not applicable to save you from the terror and horror of the situation that we have put ourselves in um, as a society, world society. And I'm really angry. I gave, if you don't know my story, I'll sum it up for you. I blew the whistle on the drone program after a near fatal injury in 2012, where I had met the people that I had killed in a near death experience. And it prompted me to go and fix my soul, if you will, or heal it. Um, and it wasn't easy, it wasn't pleasant. But strangely enough, today I have what I can only attribute to be peace in my heart, um, which is an interesting thing of where this anger comes from. I talked with a Tibetan Lama the other day, um, and he gave me the Dalai Lama's book on healing anger. But before we get into that, I'm just going to warn you guys I'm going to be talking a lot of esoteric topics: Gnosticism, Hinduism, Hindu occultism, alchemy, Christianity, uh, Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology, um, Toltec mythology, sorcery, Taoist sorcery, and philosophy. Um, these last few years, I've just been trying to find a solution because obviously, I've spoken in front of the United Nations. I've been on every major news network. Um, Even today, people still harass me and send me garbage messages. I've been permanently kicked off of Twitter for standing up to myself because idiots come at me and attack me, and then I fight back and they report me, and apparently that's good enough for Twitter to ban you. My Facebook profile has been shadow banned. My public one, at least. I barely even get on my other one. My Instagram. All I was posting pictures of my dog and artwork, and someone reported my Instagram for having inappropriate content and banned that as well. So, and I've been pretty pissed. I've been pretty pissed because it seems like no one's doing anything. No one in the highest places of authority or give a fuck. I talked to Ted Lau, the California state senator, Democratic senator, and the first thing that he said is, "Isn't it better for drones to kill people? Isn't it better than an F-16 or boots on the ground?" And these guys don't get it. Um, no one seems to understand that we're supposed to be preventing conflict rather than finding a better way to deal out damage during conflict. Because any idiot can fucking hurt another idiot. Like that's, I think I've made that statement plenty of times. It takes a better person to show restraint. It takes a better person to hold themselves together and accountable for their own actions. And that's why I've um, become a really big fan of the Dharma, because I know that from the beginning of my life I've been following the Dharma, whether I knew it or not. Um, every time I've done something really bad, I know it was bad. It makes me sick. Um, so sick that I can't get out of bed. And that's what I've been dealing with anger these last few months. Is I've gotten so fucking pissed off and angry that it wrecks me. It like activates all the stress hormones, and my body's been under so much stress these last 14 years that it puts me, it knocks me out. Um, and really, like, what am I going to do? When I was dealing with the Rick Rynearson bullshit, I was reporting his harassment to the authorities. They wouldn't do anything. I was reporting his harassment to even Twitter and all the social media platforms. They didn't do anything. He even got Marines from the blog This Ain't Hell to come and basically threaten me. They said that if it wasn't for my grandfather and the respect that they had for him, they would fucking kill me. And then a few months later, one of my grandpa's wrestlers was killed in a fire mysteriously, and I'm pretty sure that he stood up for me um, against these guys. And it's I even tried to talk to my lawyer about going after this guy for slander, and no one would help me. It's interesting that like Jesselyn Raddick and all of them, none of them would help me unless it benefited them. Unless they got some, like, they would just take from me. I never got anything in return. And it's not like I wanted anything in return. I just wanted my life back. I wanted my heart back. I wanted to live in a world where the leadership are trying to protect the innocent and those who can't protect themselves instead of taking advantage of them. And talking with the llama the other day, I was telling him that it's either I drown in despair and it's sorrow and it's suffocating, or I'm fucking angry all the time and it's like a fire and I burn everything in my path. So one of the things that he talked about is like, where's the source of that? And I started crying because when I see people hurt, it hurts me. When I see people being injustice hurts me. These types of things hurt me, and he said that wrath is an appropriate response. There's these things in Tibet called the fierce deities, and or the Dharma protectors. And it's not just in Tibet; it's in like Hindu mysticism and stuff. Um, and during one of my meditation trips, um, I opened my third eye. I opened something, and I saw two of them, a blue and a red one. And previously, before I talked with this guy, I thought that they were oni demons. And there's been times like it, just to clarify, the meditation and sorcerer and magic techniques that get you into the heightened state of mind, they are all real, 100%. I've was skeptical at first, and I did the work. Instead of just sitting there and being like, "Oh, I don't believe it," I was like, couldn't do anything, so I had to confront everything, clean everything within me, but also try to find a solution for my own personal issues of heartbreak and sorrow and driving myself mad because the people that I thought that I loved and cared about didn't actually love and care about me. And so I turned into the deepest meditations that I could possibly find. And I have I can pretty much open my third eye at will at the moment, but unless I'm sitting and concentrating very hard, it's um, it's like it's like images in the dark are in my head, And if I sit there, like I get flashes of color every once in a while, and if I sit there and concentrate, um, I can increase the color, increase the vibrancy. And I've met entities. Eh, without going into too much detail, I am no longer a skeptic. um, and that's mostly because I've had hands-on interaction with these things. And um, going back to the Dharma protectors, I'm talking with this guy, and I look over and I see one of these pictures of a enlightened sage sitting on his lotus petal, and there's these two of them. The two same people that the demons that I saw, are underneath him in fire, and there's other deities all around him. And I'm like, I saw these people in one of my meditations. I saw them. I was on my own lotus petal flower, and I saw them, and I was pretty sure that like they had big fucking spike clubs. It was amazing. Some of the visions that I've seen are, those pictures, those paintings, they're true. Like I've seen them come to life. And I was talking about him, and I was like, does that mean that I'm cursed, that I'm damned, like there's no way that I can escape what it is that I did for the military, that i'm I'm stuck, and I just have to like live this life out because I can't kill myself. I've already tried. And uh, I smoked salvia. Salvia is legal here in Montana. Salvia divinorum, and I've spoken with one of my friends is a salvia shaman, and salvia comes from the Mazatec area in Mexico. And I smoked it myself, knowing what would happen, and I ended up living thousands upon thousands of lives, um, and realizing that even if I killed myself or even if I died, I'd still have to see this life to completion, whatever that means. I can't escape it. So this was back in March. So since then, I've been trying to figure out, like, okay, what does that mean? Salvia has also shown me that everything is illusion. Everything has been fake. The people that I worked with in the whistleblowing community and the movie and documentary, they weren't really doing what they were doing for the right reasons. They were doing it for their own selfish reasons, and it wasn't a fight to make things better. It was a show for them. It was just an illusion. And I've spent a lot of time detaching myself from everything. And I actually really have to do thank the people that have caused very much problems in my life, because my enemies, because they've shown me what it is that I believe and I stand for, and what truly is evil in this world. Rick Reinerson is an evil, fat fucking piece of shit. The Norwegians are evil people. They're hypocritical. They sell weapons, but they claim to be peaceful. They give the peaceful award to the worst people in the world. The Nobel Peace Award. Uh, they claim to be family oriented, yet I've talked to many Norwegians who have had their child taken away from them by the Child Protective Services. Um, they have no honor. They're a far cry from the things that they used to be, and a complete dishonor towards their ancestors and the gods that they used to worship. Um, and they're selfish and greedy, and basically cover all the seven deadly sins. I, Growing up, I used to believe that, I guess I didn't believe it. I was told that everyone's a sinner. Uh, Original sin and all that bullshit. And I didn't want to believe it because I didn't feel like a sinner. I didn't feel like evil, or that I never made the decision to hurt someone out of malice or take something from someone. I was a really good kid. Um, Not perfect. I fuck up, but I was a really good person. And I always want, like, part of the reason why I'm so pissed off at the whistleblowing is that I did it to be proven wrong. I wanted to be proven wrong that the world isn't full of evil people, that our government isn't run by evil tyrants, that I wanted to believe in the goodness. But the reality is that we are in the spiritual dark age of mankind. We are in a time period where it's called the Iron Age, the Kali Yuga, the age where we are so far disconnected from ourselves that we seek an escape from ourselves instead of an embracing of ourselves. And I guess the best thing through this whole thing is that I have embraced myself. I have come to understand the depth of my own heart and soul, and where I tried to get rid of it, where I tried to destroy it, I found that it is you can't. Um, Working with an ayahuasca shaman, I went into the ceremony with the intent of getting rid of whatever plagued me inside, whatever discard anything that hurt me, thoughts, emotions, attachments, whatever demons, angels, whatever you want to call them, thought forms. And that was when I realized a couple things. That my ex, who is keeping my son from me, that no matter what she does, that I would always love her. And it doesn't matter if she was never true or genuine towards me, my love and care for her was. And it saved my life because I was going to kill myself. And then again, she gave me my son, which gave me the reason to continue living. And so I've came to the conclusion that I would always forgive her. And it didn't matter if she was on her knees in front of me and I had permission from God Himself to swing a sword and kill her and decapitate her, that in my heart I couldn't do it, and I wouldn't even want the heat of my breath to touch the skin, the moisture on her, the sweat on her skin. That's how much I value that interaction. And because I know that was true. I know that the documentary that we made was one of the first things that I felt that I did was right. And even though the people that I did it with were untrue to me and abandoned me in my time of need, it was still a tool to help me solve the crisis that was going on within me. And really, I didn't know what we were going to be doing or the effect of what we were going to be have. I just did it for myself and for the people and who can't protect themselves. And because it's the right thing. And I wish people understood that. I wish more people did what was right because it was simply the right thing to do. And maybe people feel that way. You know, I keep getting people keep harassing me about my service animal, um, drunk idiots, because he's a big guy. And a lady before coming into this cafe, my dog walked up to another dog excitedly and started playing with him. And some lady came up to me and was like, "You need to keep your dog on a leash. He came up to that dog and attacked him." And the owner of the other dog was like, "No." He didn't. They're playing, and this lady freaked out at me. And the reason why my dog is not on a leash is because he's my service animal. And if something were to happen to me, he needs the freedom to go and find an authority figure, someone he knows, and bring them to me. And he's my support animal because whenever I get angry, see, I get angry a lot playing video games, or I used to, and it's trained him. I used it to train him to react to my anger. Um, so that whenever I get any sort of angry, he reacts to it, and that tells me that I need to step away, that I need to calm down, because he knows me, he understands, and it's not for my protection because I can protect myself against anyone. I don't think anyone could come against me if they did it. If on an honorable battlefield, I will always win, and I know that for a fact. Um, it's to protect others because I always fight with honor, but if someone came at me, I would destroy them, 100%. If someone attacked me, I would break their arms and their legs so that they wouldn't do it to another person. And I would never attack another person out of spite, out of malice. I'd always let them do it. But if they, I always give exactly what I get, you know. And again, going back to this llama, I talked about compassion with him, and I can't. I hate bullies. I fucking hate bullies. They're. I was bullied when I was in grade school and middle school, and my freshman year in high school. But after the fights that I got into, no one ever messed with me. So anytime that I come up against bullies, I have to stand up to them. But I also look at people to see where they're at, their mindset, their mentality, their that, and there are a lot of people that are angry and nasty because they're hurt. And so they take out their hurt on others. I completely understand that. And that's why, like, Jesus says, love thy neighbor as thyself and love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And if I was doing half the shit that I've encountered with others, I would want someone to come and beat the fuck out of me and put me in my place. But no one holds anyone accountable. Everyone wants to point fingers. It's like Ryan. When Google Plus was up, I used that as my main social media thing, and he kept like I'd post my college essays and stuff, and one of them was about Valhalla, and he was like, "Oh, you'll never get into Valhalla," blah 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 blah. Like he knew something about it. Like he said it just to fucking hurt me. So or try to hurt me, and I laughed at him. And then I wrote about my grandfather, and he was like, "You're a disappointment to your grandfather," as if he fucking would know my grandfather. And I know that Rhaenyra's problem is his fucking massive ego, but he's still evil. He's still an evil piece of shit, and a really good representation of everything wrong with the Air Force, honestly. Um, but at one point, I had said that I wanted to be judged, and it's not me. Like, you don't know my character, just what I tell you and what you see of me. And I try to represent myself as best as possible. And he was like, "Well, you wanted to be judged." And it became a ridiculous thing. It became almost laughable because he wasn't, him and his cronies weren't being just. They were being narcissistic and maniacal. Um, and there was never a solution to be found. It was just harassment. It was just degrading. And when I stuck up for myself, that's when people started clearing. Like they didn't want to be a part of it. Oh, just ignore them. And you don't ignore bullies. You don't ignore people like that because then they feel justified in their actions and they're going to continue fucking doing it. You know, that's what conflict and confrontation is all about. Because if you believe enough yourself and you understand what is right, you'll be able to accomplish and go after whatever goal that is there, like the challenge is there to overcome. Um, and I like those challenges. I like criticism. I like I like being proved wrong because that means that I learn, and I love learning. I like reading things and you know tearing them apart, breaking them down, digesting them, putting them on the shelf, taking them down, reviewing them, putting them back on. Like I like that. I like talking with people, and if I have wrong information in me and I say it, I like to be corrected. On the internet, apparently people are assholes about that, and they like to play this superiority complex. Um, but I don't mind that. If I was wrong, if I have been wronged, I do not mind that. It's when I tried to be proven wrong, and I did everything that I did because I wanted to be proven wrong that the drone program wasn't as shitty as it was, that the people in it weren't as shitty, that my government wasn't shitty, and all these types of things. But they just kept proving me right. Everything that I said was validated because that's what I had observed. That's what I experienced, and in that course of time, I was like, this can't like in the same way that I questioned my Bible. I was like, this can't be real. This can't be. This can't. This is weirder than fiction. This can't be a real thing that happens in our society. And yet, all I've seen for the 14 years is just crap. One of my friends would say that my sample size isn't large enough, but I think that I've interacted with millions of people, millions, millions, and if that isn't a big enough sample size to show you how fucking horrible human beings are, then there will never be a sample size large enough. Even if we look at our history shows us how terrible we are. America was never great. Idealism and everything, those were the great things in America, but we never brought them to fruition. We took over, we stole people's lands, we poisoned our own people, we poison their water, we poison their food. Fuck, even Norway. Like one of their exports is GMO'd farm fish, farm salmon, and every report that I've read on this stuff is that they're poisonous and they're full of tumors and they're gross. No one wants to eat it. And yet, when you talk about these things with people, because they cannot criticize themselves, because they cannot look at themselves in any sort of critical manner, they they violently turn against it. It's the same thing with soldiers. Like a soldier has to go into battle knowing that like the stories of glory and honor and everything like that. That's also why something like a story like the Bhagavad Gita is so important because the Bhagavad Gita tells us about the futility of war. How even a master of arms, Prince Arjun, who is one of the greatest heroes in any epic that we've ever encountered, even he sees battle and sees the futility in it and gives in to despair and has to be counseled and has to be brought through that despair, that sea of sorrow, so that he can get to the other side and fight what is his duty, his inheritance, and those types of things. But sometimes we have to trick ourselves. Sometimes we have to believe in something that is more than what it is, and that helps us get through those low points. But then we get into the problem of deceiving ourselves. Then we get into the problem that once we are confronted with the absolute truth, once we are in those modes where we have the capacity to interact with the truth, good and evil, most people shun the evil, not as in and they don't confront it. They shun it. They turn away from it. And some of my latest friends that I've gotten become acquainted with, they're the love and the light people, the create your own reality people, and that's not true. You don't create your own reality. There is only one reality, and that is that which we are in. You have to break through the illusions of the mind in order to see it. And nothing is all love and light. Just because, like, I didn't create the scenario where I got injured in the military. I didn't create the scenario where I murdered people. I didn't create the scenario where I killed a child. I didn't create those scenarios. Those were all scenarios that I was forced to confront, the deepest, darkest fucking aspects of humankind. And if you do not confront these things, then they kill you. And if they don't kill you, you will kill yourself to simply escape them. And that's where we get into the problem with where veterans are nowadays, is that they go into battle thinking about glory and service and protection of others, but then they encounter the hellish reality of what we create when we're over there, and it fucks us up. It destroys us, heart, mind, body, and soul. And when one of those is out of balance, they're all out of balance. And if you do not know the techniques to bring those back into equilibrium, then you're going to be destroyed. And I think that's about as simple as I can make that point. And going back to anger, um, so going back to the demons that I saw in my meditation, I was like, when I was talking with Lama, I was like, holy shit, are these things, what are these things? And he told me about the Dharma protectors. He said that these things are called upon and appear in the world whenever there's evil, and they're basically karma incarnate in the spiritual world. And I haven't gone back and talked with him further since giving me the book, but since then I've also had more meditation sessions. I pretty much spend most of my time either reading, writing, or drawing or meditating at this point, and I've made very significant progress on it. Um, I'm no longer afraid of these things, and I feel like they're showing their support, like when they appear in that manner. Because I wasn't afraid when I saw them. I just was like, holy shit, am I fucked? Um, is this? Are they coming after me? And even in another one of my visions, I saw, strangely enough, a Chinese, an Oriental dragon in the same, like it was like one of the art pieces from a Japanese piece of work. It was like in the air, and it was all sorts of twirly and everything like that. And um, when I talked to someone about that, when I talked to a shaman advisor for that, he said that basically was an energetic being that I made contact with, and it touched me. It did something to me. This was like 4 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago. I still don't know what happened, but it was like I had a Kundalini experience where my entire spine got fiery hot, and my mind felt like it was like in bliss. Um, and it like touched me right in the third eye, and I felt this flood. I can't even describe it. It was like opening a floodgate to the astral realm, and just bombarded me with energy. Hey, that's about that's I don't know how else to explain it. But again, going through all this, I've learned that my anger has been justified because it comes from a place of love and compassion and justice. It it doesn't come from a place of poor discrimination. It comes from a place of right discrimination, something that I've practiced my whole life. And there's this a phrase in the Bhagavad Gita that sticks out to me. It's Krishna is talking about someone who has fallen from the path of spirituality. He says that, if someone falls from this path of spirituality and they die, and they experience the torments that the afterlife has, the next world has for us, when we're born again into this world, the person who had lost their spirituality actually tries harder in this life and makes a firm connection to it. And comparing that, if we can live multiple lives in a single mortal life, and we have many different personalities. And growing up as a Christian for 25 years and then dropping that faith and then realizing that you can't throw your heart away, you can't throw your soul away, and you have to reconnect with it, and searching for the path to reconnect with it. Once I actually had my feet on that solid ground, it's like everything came back to me. My mind and heart and my body and my soul are at peace despite all the pain that I've suffered, despite all the torment that I've had. I'm I'm at peace. And I can still feel anger and be at peace. I can still fight against injustice and be at peace. And though I no longer trust anyone. That's part of the consequence of what's happened, and the reason why I burned all my bridges, because when I asked for help, I didn't get it. I risked my life to give people the information, to have people call me a snitch or a traitor or a monster or whatever it is. I don't need that. I don't need anything. I I'm not bought or paid for by anyone. I'm probably the only single person in this world that has done what I've done or near what I've done and faced pretty much zero consequences other than the type of bullshit that people do to hurt someone else because they were embarrassed. That's why they took my son from me, was because that was the only way that they could hurt me. They tricked me into falling in love with someone who never actually loved me. And because they knew that that was the way to hurt me, was through my heart. And, well, that part of me is dead. That part of me has been sacrificed on the altar of the self, and no one stopped me. No one, no God stepped forth and was like, joking, you don't need to do that. It happened. I went through with it. And after experiencing that amount of trial and tribulations, there's no way on this world that I can ever be hurt again. And that's a strange thing, actually. Um, my body still reacts to PTSD triggers, um, but as I continue practicing my meditations and my breathing and my movements, those things become less and less troublesome. I can deal with them. I can encounter them and let them pass. Even my night terrors, like I still have these dreams where sometimes I'm asleep and it's like I'm on the cusp of waking up, but something is keeping me there, and all I feel is fear, and my body sweats, and I I, I will soak the bed or my clothes if I'm fully. I sleep fully dressed now, because if I don't, then I have to fucking wash my sheets every couple nights because I sweat so much. Um, but I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to encounter it, confront it, and overcome it. And I'm tired. I'm in pain. I'm, but I'm at peace. But I'm still angry. And but the cool thing is that I'm I no longer am trying to get rid of that. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to tap into that energy and use it for good and justice. The problem is that there are a lot of people who are selfish and jealous and ignorant, and they will do everything that they can to prevent you from doing the right thing. But that should never stop you. So long as you believe whatever it is that you're doing is right, then hold your head up. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Doesn't matter what the press says, doesn't matter what the pulpit says, doesn't matter what the politicians say, doesn't matter even what the mobs say. It only matters what you do. It only matters how you live. And I've lived a good life in every single way. I've made my mistakes, but ultimately I believe I've lived a good life, and I'm at peace with that. And I hope the Dharma protectors destroy all that is evil in this world. And I pray that I have the power to get my son back and destroy every single person that has stood in front of me. Because pretty much the entire world is my enemy. Our entire society is my enemy. Our politicians and those people that are evil are my enemy. And if I have to continue fighting alone, then I guess that's what I will do. And this time I'm not tormented. I'm not being chased by my demons, or my ghosts, or my thoughts, or my emotions. And I guess that's where the real fun begins. I hope that this was a good talk, and I will probably do a couple more on anger. Um, just that stream of thought is done. Oh, Twitter has permanently banned me because I had thousands of people report me for hateful content after the Norwegians started blaming America for causing the mosque shooting in Norway, when pretty much 90% of the Norwegians that I met are racist motherfuckers anyway. And they have a superiority complex. And apparently that pissed off enough people that they reported me. So I'm permanently banned from Twitter. Tried to make another account and they permanently banned that. Facebook and Instagram again. I said are shadow banned, and my YouTube channel has been gotten some reports. So yeah, if you don't hear from me, good luck, and if you're my enemy, go fuck yourself. If I don't kill you in this life, I'll kill you in the next.